Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who do not know, I have been backpacking Asia for about 3 months, and I'm happy to say that I'm officially back in Canada. So that is why there was a serious lack of content on my channel over the past 3 months, but now that I am back home, you can expect more regular content from me going forward. Now, in this video, I want to show you guys basically what I have been doing in my portfolio over the past 3 months while I haven't really been making content, because I have made a few moves in my portfolio that I want to let you all know about. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you guys one of the main lessons that I learned from my Asia trip. Not really related to stocks, but just in life in general. So yeah, that's basically going to be the video. In this video, I am only going to be talking about one of the stocks that I sold or have been trimming, and then a brand new stock that I have added to the YouTube portfolio here. And again, I have made more moves than this, but just to keep the video short, that's all we're going to talk about in today's video. So with that being said, the stock that I have trimmed is Meta. This is a stock that I was buying, and I've always said in this portfolio that it is my most speculative position and that I didn't really want it to become a huge position for me. Now, if we take a look at Meta over the past year here, we can see that the stock is up about 140% from its lows now. This is a massive rally in about 6 months, and I think that the stock is probably selling above fair value now. So I am up quite a bit on this position now, and I have officially started trimming it down, again, because it is more speculative for me, and with the overall stock increasing, it was becoming a larger and larger position. So I trimmed it down by about half, and it now makes up about 3% of the portfolio. Now, also, if we head over to Meta's financials here, one thing that I want to show you all is simply just its income statement over time. So here we can see that the green bars are the revenue, and we can see that recently the revenue has been topping out and actually slightly coming down. This is at the same time as the expenses, which is shown by the other bars, the other colored bars, have been steadily increasing. What this means is that Meta's overall profitability and margins have been declining. Now, Mark Zuckerberg did say that this is going to be the year of efficiency for Meta, and that, the company is going to be focusing on getting its margins back. That solves one area of the problem, which is, the expenses going haywire and continuing to increase. But overall, I do still think that Meta has a little bit of a growth problem that they still need to solve for. I personally don't know if this growth problem is a temporary thing or if Meta is going to have issues continuing to grow over, the long term or what. It looks like they are doing some more initiatives to continue growing the business with WhatsApp and some WhatsApp payments down in South America. But overall, the revenue does look like it is stagnating right now. So with the stock up over 100% in 6 months, I think that this is a good time to start trimming down my position, again, when I do think that it is a little bit more speculative. So that's basically why I was trimming Meta. Now, if we head back over to my portfolio here, what I added in place of Meta, because I trimmed it down, I had some cash in the portfolio. So what I added to the portfolio is TD Bank. TD Bank has been in a pretty big downtrend for over a year now. And with the overall banking crisis in the United States, I think that there was a lot of fear in the banking sector, and I think that this pushed TD Bank stock down quite a bit. If we take a look from TD Bank's all-time high in 2022, the stock is now down about 30%, which is a massive correction for this bank, and I think that this is a little bit overdone personally. TD Bank, I read, was also the most shorted financial stock in the world last week, so people are quite bearish on TD Bank right now. I am actually bullish on it over the long term. So I think that this is a great entry price to basically build a position in TD Bank, which is exactly what I did in the portfolio. So let's talk about TD Bank now. Why is the market so concerned about TD Bank, and why is the market shorting it so much? Well, in my opinion, it's because they have a massive stake in this company right here, Charles Schwab. If we take a look at the ownership, TD Securities actually owns roughly 12% of Charles Schwab, or about 226 million shares worth. That is a massive stake in the company, right? Now, if we take a look at Charles Schwab's share price performance year to date, this stock is down roughly 36%. Now, what this means is that TD Bank is going to have to report a massive unrealized net loss on their investment in Charles Schwab. I did the math, and it works out to about a $6.2 billion unrealized loss on Charles Schwab for the year. So basically, when TD Bank reports their Q1 earnings, they're going to have a $6.2 billion hit to their net income. And I think that this is one large reason why people are shorting TD Bank, because it's going to seriously affect the company's net income, and it's going to make the price to earnings ratio go up, and earnings are going to be down massively year over year. So maybe people are shorting TD Bank in anticipation of that. Also, another thing that I saw that people were concerned about was overall in the banking sector, the provisions for credit losses across all banks are starting to increase. So right here, I have a screenshot. Let me just fix my screen. So right here, I have a screenshot, the provisions for credit losses from TD Bank in specific. And if you take a look at this chart right here, this may look a little bit scary. I mean, provisions for credit losses are increasing massively year over year. They're up like 500 to 600%. A lot of people are saying, this means that banks are expecting essentially loan failures to happen. People are going to they're not going to pay off their loans essentially. And a lot of these debts are going to go bad because, I mean, take a look, the bank is starting to prepare for this. However, if we head back over to Stock Unlock, we have TD Bank's loan loss provisions right here. So let's go to the quarterly and let's just zoom out. So yes, if we take a look at a quarterly basis, their loan loss provisions are up a lot year over year. But if we take a look at the history, they're basically just normalizing right now. They're not really going bad, or it's not really signaling that there's anything bad happening with TD's loan book. It looks like their loan loss provisions are just getting back to normal. And in my opinion, this is nothing to really worry about. It looks quite dramatic year over year, but when you zoom out, it really doesn't look that bad. And it's not really getting that bad. Now, if we also take a look at TD Bank's other fundamental metrics here, like the revenue, their revenue is sitting at an all-time high currently, and this is because banks make money off of interest income. So while interest rates are increasing, they can essentially loan out deposits at a higher interest rate and generate more revenue from that. So banks are a beneficiary of higher interest rates, which is an environment that we are now living in. I don't know how long this higher interest rate environment is going to last, but while it's happening, banks are making a lot more money. If we actually take a look at TD Bank's interest income over the past couple of quarters, we can see that their interest income has been basically exploding. It's up about 10% year over year, if not more, maybe 10 to 15% year over year. And in the trailing 12 months, their interest income is now sitting at an all-time high. So they're making as much money as they've ever made. They've never made more money, if that's another way that you want to put it. And overall, I think that this bank is in a very financially sound spot. And I think that there is just a lot of fear surrounding banks and TD in specific with their Charles Schwab investment. Now, if we also take a look at TD Bank's dividends right here, this is another reason why I am very interested in the stock right now. So we can see that the current dividend yield is now sitting at about 4.80%. And the only two times in history where the dividend yield has gotten this high was during the stock market crash of 2020 when the dividend got up to 6.4%, and during the financial crisis when the dividend got up to 7.4%. So outside of those two stock market panics, TD Bank's dividend actually hasn't really been this high for quite some time. And 4.8% dividend, I think, is quite attractive on this stock. Also, the 5-year compounded annual growth rate to the dividend is about 6.46%. So over time, TD Bank should continue increasing its dividend. So the 4.8% dividend yield on cost right now should only continue going up over time as well. This chart right here shows TD Bank's historical dividend per share. We can see that it likes to go up over time, and I do continue to expect that to happen. Now, what this does for a long-term investor in a stock that likes to grow their dividend is it increases the dividend yield on cost. So, for example, if I was buying TD Bank here all the way back in 2003, I would now have a dividend yield on cost of roughly 24%. That is a 24% annual return in cash to me, just to my portfolio, from buying the stock, holding it, and then them continuing to increase the dividends over the long term. Again, I think that TD Bank will continue to do this, and over my lifetime, I expect, basically the same thing to continue happening in the future. So if I'm buying TD Bank roughly at a 5% dividend yield today, that dividend yield could grow massively in the future while the bank continues increasing its dividends with the overall fundamentals of the business. So basically, I just think that, the fundamentals of this business look fine. Revenue's growing, earnings are growing, dividends continuing to grow. And also, if we take a look here at our freeform tool at Stock Unlock, we can take a look at the company's historical price to earnings ratio. And we can see, okay, well, what am I paying today versus its history? So let's go over to price to earnings. This is one thing that I really like to do, and a lot of great investors like to take a look at, okay, well, how is the company currently being priced relative to its history? So let's zoom out to about, why not, let's just go all the way back to, 2004. So right now, TD Bank's price to earnings ratio is sitting at about 9.6. On an adjusted basis, it's actually about 9.2 right now, but we'll just use the reported price to earnings ratio of about 9.7. Actually, let's round up. Now, throughout history, we can see that the average has been about 13. So the price to earnings ratio for TD Bank right now is well below its historical averages, which tells me that it could be selling for a discount right now with all of the fear in the banking sector. Let's zoom into about 2012 and take a look at the past 10 years, and the average price to earnings ratio has been about 12.3. So even relative to the past decade, TD Bank looks like it is selling for a discount right now, and I love that. I think that it's a great time to pick up some TD Bank shares for me personally, while the stock is seeing some bearishness towards it, and people are overall just worried about the banking sector. I think that there are some banking issues out there, and I think that if you're in some subpar banks, some low quality banks, then that might be a little bit scary. But TD Bank is one of the largest Canadian banks, and Canada has a very sound banking sector. It's one of the most sound banking sectors in the entire world. So basically, I don't think that TD Bank is going anywhere. I don't think that they're in any financial stress. So while the market is worried about TD Bank, while the market is shorting it, and while the market is worried about the overall banking sector, I think that this is a good time to pick up some shares for cheap for the long term, and especially with that high dividend yield right now. So that's basically why I switched Meta for TD Bank. I trimmed down some Meta in my portfolio, and I got some TD Bank. Overall, if we take a look at the performance of my portfolio, it's up about 16.49% since I started it versus the SPY's 10%. So the portfolio is still outperforming the SPY, and we have almost a year of data now. So basically over the past year, I have been outperforming the SPY by about 6%, and we'll see if that continues. I don't know if it will continue. I don't know, honestly, if I'm going to continue beating the SPY or not, but the stocks that I have in my portfolio now and my allocations I'm very comfortable with them, let's just say. So that's what I've been doing in my portfolio, at least for the video that I wanted to make today. So now I'm just going to talk about one of my biggest lessons from Asia in general. So for those of you who don't know, I was backpacking, living out of a backpack for about 3 months with my girlfriend, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. I mean, we were all over Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, a little country called Laos, went into Singapore, then down to Indonesia, we were in Malaysia. I believe we hit about 7 countries in general, or in total, I should say. And yeah, it was an experience. So also, before we went on this trip, I was scared of flying. I'm just gonna make my head bigger. I was actually scared of flying, and that's where the lesson really comes from. So the main takeaway for me was like, before we got on every single flight, I would be so worried, and then on every single flight, I would be so worried, and then we would land somewhere, and I would just be worried about, okay, well, how are we going to get to our next place? How are we going to get to our Airbnb? How are we going to eat? Like, what is going to happen here? We're in a totally new environment. So I was worrying all the time, basically, when we first started the trip. And before I left for Asia even, I was someone who just worried all the freaking time. I was always worrying about basically everything. And this trip really showed me that it was like, I worry so much, but in the end, everything turns out okay. The planes always land. We don't crash. We make it to our Airbnb or our hotel or wherever we're staying. We end up finding out how to get around, whether that's, taking a Grab, which is basically their Uber, or walking or whatever we need to do. We can get around, we can find food, everything's going to be okay. So what that basically taught me was like all of this worrying that I do ends up being totally pointless. Yeah, things may be a little bit uncertain in the moment, but when you take a look in hindsight, all of that worrying is just totally pointless. Worrying about the plane going to crash. The planes never crash, okay? It's like incredibly rare for a plane to crash. So all of that worrying and all of that I go through is just like self-torture, basically. And you just don't have to worry. All of the worrying in hindsight is just irrelevant, and it's just torturing myself. And it really taught me that like there's really just not that much to worry about. Also, some of the places that we went to, like Laos in specific, it's a very poor country, and the stuff that we saw was just like very eye-opening. Gave me a lot of perspective about how blessed and lucky I am to live in North America and be able to invest my money. Like the fact that I can even invest my money and have hopes for a future where I'm financially free, and I can basically control my own destiny is like incredible. It's already basically like winning the lottery to be born in Canada and have the opportunities that I have. So it just really opened my eyes to, how blessed I am, how lucky I am, and how I really have nothing to worry about, and how I just need to relax and, just be thankful for everything that I have. that would be the word for it, is just be thankful for everything I have. And yeah, it was a great experience, honestly. Like, I definitely think people should travel more and just get out there and throw themselves in those situations. It was incredible. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the portfolio update and just that little bit of story. Let me know down in the comment section if you guys want me to take a look at any more stocks, because as I said, I will be making more content regularly now that I am back home and I'm not traveling anymore. So I plan on just getting right back into the YouTube grind, making videos for you guys, staying on top of the market, sharing everything that I'm doing, and it should be fun. I have some videos planned for over the next week. We're going to be talking about Brookfield and what Warren Buffett's doing right now, because he's actually come out and said some pretty interesting things recently. So if you want to stick around for that and you're new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like on it. And I'm just happy to be back and hope you guys are happy to have me back. So if you're here, thank you guys so much for continuing to support my channel. I truly do appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And you guys allowed me to go on that trip and just experience life to the fullest. So honestly, thank you guys so much for supporting me, continuing to support me. And I'll see you in the videos that I post this week and in the future. So thank you guys again so much, and hope you enjoyed today's little video.